So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat as I eat my breakfast, my oatmeal. I'm not a big fan of oatmeal, but I'm eating it. But let's have a little chat. It's a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of propaganda, a lot of distractions, a lot of agendas, a lot of fear mongering. It's a lot of that going on in the world, a lot of misinformation. And what I want to talk about is the notion that segregation is coming back. And how all of this came about. President Trump signed some order, and in this order, it had something to do with contracts or government contracts or something like that. And in this order, there is no provision that prohibits segregated um, work environments or segregated locations like restaurants, bathrooms, et cetera, which I believe it reverses, some people are saying, the bill that Lyndon B. Johnson signed back in the 60s that prohibited segregation, I guess, in the federal workforce. And I'm paraphrasing, so I may not be 100%, but you all get what I'm saying because everybody's been talking about it, right? Here's the thing, though, and this is where people gonna get mad, and I don't give a fuck. We have never been integrated as a society on an emotional or even a spiritual or a psychological level. No matter what bills they passed in the past, no matter what bills they passed in the past, our society here in America is still largely segregated. Now, maybe legally, people can't just outright discriminate against people. And it even said that, you know, people would still have to abide by the anti discrimination state laws and the anti discrimination federal laws. So I don't understand why people are so up in arms. So, why does this always happen when I'm. What the fuck is this? Oh, that's a notification for TikTok. So, I don't understand why people are up in arms. And I think it's just another fear tactic that is being used and a distraction tactic that's being used to take people's focus away from the real truth of what's happening. And that is that there is a shift that's taking place spiritually. Do you notice that every time there's a shift that's taking place spiritually or getting ready to take place, these are the types of things that start uprooting and coming out of the woodwork. They always use race as a click and bait tool to get people all riled up, to get people all in their emotions, especially black people. Excuse me. We've never really been a fully integrated society. Even if you live around, well, I I lived in when I grew up in the 80s. The 80s were a little bit different for me, and that's based upon where I lived at. And I can't speak for anyone else because everyone else has their own different experience, and that's okay. This isn't about me being right and somebody else being wrong. It's just that our experiences are different. Now, me growing up in the 80s in Northwest DC, Georgia Avenue, for those people who are from DC, you know what I'm talking about. When I lived closer to the old Walter Reed Hospital, that was a pretty integrated, I want to say a pretty integrated society at that time or community. I was raised around some white people, not many white people, but I was raised around some white people, Panamanians, Hispanics, um, what else? Ethiopians. We were friendly, we interacted with each other. In the 80s, there was more of an interaction between different racial groups and ethnicities, and for the most part, we got along. It wasn't until we allowed stupid, dumb, retarded, individuals in political positions and other stupid, delayed, retarded individuals with the advent of social media 30, 40 some years later. It wasn't until then that we allowed people to get into our minds and tell us, oh no, you should dislike Indians because they're racist. Some of them are. You should dislike Koreans. Some of them are racist. We know they are. This person is racist. That person is racist. You shouldn't like that person. That person is against you. Or you shouldn't like black people because black people are violent and crazy. It wasn't until we started allowing these things to permeate our subconscious that we started really cannibalizing and turning on one another. But in the 80s, it was a more integrated community again where I was. I went to school with white people. I was friendly with white people. I remember I was friends with a girl named Ellie. She was white. I was friends with her family. This was in the 80s though. But something happened in, I want to say, the 2010s. Things started to unravel in the 2010s. I want to say when Obama came in, that's when things started flipping and turning in reference to race relations between different ethnic groups or different ethnicities. Because I was there in the 80s. I saw and experienced something different than what people are experiencing now. Even in the early 90s, when I was going to junior high school, I had white friends. But there was still, even with that, the point that I'm making is this: even with that, there was a silent distance. This country has always been emotionally segregated and divided. So, what are people surprised about? Is my question. And what gets me with Indians, I'm going to say this, and I'm referring to East Indians. What gets me with you all, some of you all are darker than me, and you have the unmitigated gall to be racist. Indians, East Indians are not very friendly towards black people. They're not. They're not. I think that white people are a little bit more friendly towards me than even other people of color. Other people of color, even black people, even black people, unfortunately, are not very nice people sometimes. And I know I'm going to the left, but that's what I do. I'm the occult view. I look at everything. I don't just look and pick on one thing or one person. I want to look at the entire. I want to pull the nucleus back. You can't just point the proverbial finger at white people and say you all are this and you all are that. That may be true, but do you know that I've experienced more discriminatory practices against me that came from other people of color, including other black people? That's why I have no real sympathy for this DEI stuff, because That has nothing to do with me. DEI has never benefited me. It benefited certain black people who sold their soul to the government and to other principalities, and it benefited non-black people. That's what it benefited. That's who it benefited, excuse me. Then you have, you know, Cora Masters Berry. She's on Facebook telling black people to boycott McDonald's, Target, and Walmart. Why? I'm not boycotting shit. This is the same woman that did everything she possibly could, allegedly, to destroy my friend Christopher behind the scenes. This is the same woman that was supporting Black Lives Matter and the leaders of Black Lives Matter, which turned out to be a whole scam. And we're going to listen to this Brokeback Mountain bitch who ain't got shit. And I know some of the people may, how could you talk like that about an older woman? Because I can. Because she's toxic for the black community. How can we take anything she says seriously when she's friends with Hillary Clinton? And we all know the allegations allegedly that have been made about Hillary Clinton. But you all are sitting up here crying about segregation? You're really feeding into that propaganda spell work? I'm not saying I'm glad about it, but I'm not going to allow that to control me. And all that boycotting shit, keep boycotting. That's why you're in poverty. That's why you're in poverty. This is not the time to boycott. Because what you're telling the universe when you do that, this is what people don't understand. This is what Brokeback Mountain people like Cora Masters Berry ain't gonna tell you because she ain't got a divine wise bone in her body. This is what she's not gonna tell you. When you do stuff like that, under these conditions, it may have worked back in the 60s. I get it, got it. But when you do things like that under the energy and the frequency that we're up under now, we're up under very deceptive, disgusting as people, and there's no spirit backing it up. When you are doing this now under this frequency, what you're telling the universe and what you're transmitting out into the universe is that I don't have no money. That's how the universe is going to interpret that, and it's going to bring in more poverty for you. Right now, if you got money, you should be spending it if you can. You should not be getting up under anybody's ritual telling you that you should boycott over some DEI, which really didn't serve your average black person anyway. It only served black people who were in that network. I'm talking about a Masons and fraternities and sororities and all of those other things. No disrespect, but you have to be in the network. They were the ones who benefited from the DEI stuff, along with non black people. So you wonder why black people act funny towards other black people sometimes and they treat others better? It's because they're in the network of sororities, fraternities, Masons, and all of that. That's why. And you're worried about segregation when we've already been, we are and have continued to and have continued to be a very emotionally, psychologically segregated society anyway. I don't give a fuck if some person don't want to be around me because I'm black, because maybe I don't want to be around you either. And it may have nothing, but see, my reasoning for not wanting to be around people has nothing to do with the color of their skin. It has to do with the lack of content and the lack of character and the lack of integrity of that individual. That's what it has to do with. And I don't want to be around their spell work because you don't want me to throw spell work at you. The universe made me big for a reason. in body size and spirit size. And I'm being layman, but I'm just saying. Let's really have a conversation about this. And I was listening to a sister talk about this like, why do you, why are we supposed to care about this now? I'm not getting up and I am not getting up under anybody's ritual telling me to boycott this, don't buy from Amazon, don't do this, because I understand what you're transmitting out into the universe is that you lack. And that's exactly what you're going to get back. That's exactly what you're going to get back. If you get up under these poverty, these are poverty rituals. Poverty rituals. And they have constantly put black people up under these poverty rituals. That's why black people don't own a lot of stuff now. Because back during the civil rights movement, instead of us appreciating the black owned businesses that we had, we decided to go along with, who is it? Is it I think it's Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois. Wait a minute. Let me tell y'all what happened. Yeah, let me tell y'all what happened. And I don't know if I've talked about this before. If you're tired of living in lack, don't listen to these people telling you to boycott. Because I'm going to go where I want to go. Make sure I'm talking about the right person. Yes. I know a lot of people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but W.E.B. Du Bois was a hack. He was a psyop agent that infiltrated the black community. And I believe he had something to do with the downfall of Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington, I mean, everybody has their bad side. I'm not for anybody but myself. But I understood what Booker T. Washington was trying to do. He was telling black people, hey, listen, you can own your own businesses. You can have your own generational wealth that you could spread, and you can, you know, spread throughout the generations of your family and your bloodline. W.E.D. Du Bois comes along telling black people, oh no, you should go and work for white people, basically. And then when black people followed that ritual, all of the white people started buying up businesses and creating generational wealth for their families. And then black people just became workers and servants of servitude. You see what I'm saying? And that's exactly what's happening now. We keep getting up under these poverty rituals. People telling us to boycott. Boycott for what? DEI didn't serve us anyway. Boycott for what? Y'all do what you want to do. I'm not telling nobody what not to do, but I'm telling you the consequences of getting up under these rituals. You have people talking about they're bringing back segregation. So what? And that's not entirely true. Do you really think, if I let me name some major grocery store chains in this area? Safeway, the Giant, Aldi's, Kroger's, Harris Teeter's. Do you really think the way these stores like to make money, do you really think they're going to turn away money? You think they're going to turn away money just because you're white or you're black? They don't give a fuck about your skin color. They want to know if you got that one color in your purse or your wallet, and that's green. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters to them. Here we go again, 10 years later, and you are, excuse me, and you all are allowing, not the people that watch me, and you all are allowing Trump to control your mind. Are there things that he's doing that I disagree with? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't like him like that. I don't like any politicians like that, to be honest with you. because they're not for the people the way that they used to be and the way that they should be. Like this governor in Maryland, Wes Moore, he ain't shit. He ain't shit. And I'm going to say it straight like that. He ain't shit. He is all about big corporations. And I don't know where he came from. I had never even heard anything about him. I guess because I don't really follow politics like that unless I have to. And a lot of people didn't like Larry Hogan, but Larry Hogan was a better governor, and the economy was a lot better under Larry Hogan than it is under, Wes Moore. But see, I'm not supposed to say that because I'm supposed to be for Wes Moore because he's a black man. And I'm supposed to be against Larry Hogan because he's a white man, right? See, I don't operate that way. I don't operate that. That's just not how I operate. Because I know that all black people ain't good people, and I know all white people ain't bad people, and I know all white people ain't good people. I understand that. But the mind control and the ritual, which is a dangerous ritual that has been not infiltrated, I was going to say infiltrated, that has been thrown at black people, or black people have been put up under this dangerous ritual for many, many years. That if you see that a person is black, you trust them. If they're white, you don't trust them. That's a dangerous ritual to put people up under because all black people cannot be trusted. And I know that for a fact. No, all white people can't be trusted either. People are people, at least in some cases. As it pertains to racist people, and I'm specifically talking about racist white people, what people have to understand, those types of people are not human. That's not a human entity because racists do a lot of underground secret, not under, well, yeah, underground secret ritualistic things. And I'm going to say in my words, they take on a lot of different entities. They do a lot of devil worship. A lot of they practice devil worship, and they practice it in the most wickedest types of ways. They harm children, they harm innocent people, they harm pregnant women. They do a lot of sacrifices. They do, especially against black people and people of color, including you, East Indians, including you. You're too dark for them, in case you didn't know, including you, including you, Middle Eastern men, because you all can be racist too. Racist as fuck. I told you, most of the people that have been nasty and racist towards me have been other people of color. So when I hear people talking about they're concerned about segregation, I'm like, look at the world around you. We've been segregated. And it's not just white people that want to segregate from you, which I don't give a fuck about anybody wanting to segregate from me. I don't care about that. I don't want to be around you no way. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I don't care. But as long as you're not trying to infringe on my personal rights, that's where the issue comes in. And I understand people fighting that cause. But I'm not getting under any ritual of anybody telling me to boycott Walmart, to boycott Target. Now, I don't really shop at Target. I don't fuck with Target. I don't like Target anyway. But I do like Walmart. I don't eat at McDonald's. I don't eat anything out of McDonald's. I cook my own food. But nobody's going to tell me where I can and cannot shop. I'm not going to let them put me up under that ritual. And if you are smart, I would advise you not to let them put you up under that ritual either. Do not let them put you up under that ritual. Now, if you want to follow the ritual, you go ahead. But remember, what you're transmitting to the universe is that you lack. And that's what the universe is going to send you in return, lack. Just like when they tell people it's a recession. If you get up under that ritual, you'll lack. You will lack. I thought somebody was coming in. That's why I got quiet. We're done with these rituals. We're done with people trying to put us up under ritual. You can still enjoy your life. Donald Trump and no one else should be controlling your life. You should still be able to control your life and enjoy your life, no matter what. You know, we live in a destitute world where you have men trying to steal the money of women that they were once married to. I was listening to that story of what's her name, Journey Smollett, how her ex-husband, I think he's going to be her ex-husband pretty soon, is trying to sue her. And I've been wanting to talk about this. I'm done talking about that other stuff, but I've been wanting to talk about this. He's trying to sue her, not only, I guess, for alimony and spousal, I don't know. But what really raised an alarm for me, he's trying to sue her for her childhood, what do they call it? Royalties from different movies and TV shows she's been in it. He's trying to take that away from her. You know we live in a fucked up world when a man is trying to steal a woman's money. I thought that was so despicable. And I think it is so despicable. And more you see men trying to steal the money of women. But these are the people you want us to call kings and gods? That's you want us to call them kings and gods? I think not. Not me. Can you imagine as a woman working all your life for your money and you marry someone who you think is on your side, but all along, this dude is with you because they have an ulterior motive. And I'm finding this to be more and more prevalent every day with a lot of men because a lot of men, contrary, here's another thing too. You got to be careful. Excuse me, I'm eating my oatmeal. You got to be careful with these statistics. Statistics are, to me, statistics are low level spell work, glamour, and mind control. And what they try to do is they try to get you to, or they try to convince you that something is true that's not true. Like telling people that men make more money than women. I don't believe that. I think women have always had more money than men. And this is not talking on no feminism kick because I don't support none of that. This ain't about that. Men are naturally jealous of what women have. Um, the natural order has always been for the woman to have more money than the man. So it's not a surprise that a lot of these brokeback mountain men come through and find them a woman that has more money than them. That's something women got to watch out for. And like I tell women on here all the time, stop giving your money to these motherfucking content creators, these male content creators who just want your money, especially a lot of the I'm not gonna say that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Why would you pay your money to people who don't even like you? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. But when I read that story about Journey Smollett and her husband trying to take all of her money, I was like, that's crazy. That is crazy for a man to want to take all of a woman's money. It's hard enough for women to earn money in this capitalistic, patriarchal, depressive, discriminatory society anyway. Same thing with Halle Berry. She pays out a lot of money to her ex, and she wasn't even, I don't even think she was married to that man, Gabriel Aubrey. She wasn't even married to him, and he put her through hell. Women, guard your money. They're trying to come for your money, especially black women, because black women have always been known to have money, prosperity, abundance. Black women have always been known to have those things, and they've been able to basically create those things out of really nothing. That's some powerful, what I would call some powerful hoodoo spell work. You know what I'm saying? Black women have always been able to make an empire out of nothing. Black women have always been able to do that. Women have always been able to do that, but black women especially have always been able to do that. Guard your money, black women, because they trying to come for your money and for what you work for. Guard your money. Guard your money. I want to talk about this right quick too. And I meant to talk about this in my last in my video that I made about right is right, wrong and wrong is right. I meant to talk about this. Married to Medicine. And I really don't talk about reality shows that much, but art imitates life, and life imitates art. And when I look at the situation between Dr. G, Sweet Tea, his wife, aka Letitia, Quad, and that dude King, when I look at that situation, it is very troubling to me on so many fundamental levels. Okay? I agree that Dr. G got issues. I agree with that. And I'm going to say allegedly because people are sue happy. I agree that he does have issues. I do believe that he is abusive. If not physically, I know verbally and psychologically. I believe all of those things. Okay? I believe all of those things. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. Quad has not fully healed from that relationship from Dr. G. She is not fully healed from that. That is still a sour, sore point for her. She probably needs to go to someone reputable, to help her heal spiritually from that. She probably needs some work done. She probably needs some work done. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Her new boyfriend, his name is King, the same traits that she was running from with Dr. G when she divorced him and ran away from him and got away from those negative traits, those very same traits that she ran from Dr. G, she ran right back into with King. And it takes a good spiritual eye to see it. Dr. G and King are really the same person. They're really the same person. The difference is King is younger, stronger, but spiritually wise, Quad ran to and attracted the same energy. Now, how long is it going to be before she starts telling people the same things she was saying about Dr. G? How long do you all give it that she's going to be saying the same things about King? Because, see, a lot of women celebrated the fact that King defended Quad against Dr. G on that trip that they were on when he and Dr. G almost got into a physical altercation. And I get it. I got it. I understand that. But you're dealing with two Tauruses. Dr. G is a Taurus. Quad is a Taurus. I don't know what King's zodiac sign is, but if I had to put my finger on it, I would say he's either a Cancer, Leo, or maybe even a Pisces. And what really strikes me very odd about that group of men is that they're supposed to be friends with Dr. G, but they're low key taking sides with that dude King and Quad. When in actuality, there were no innocent parties, and the only innocent party in that was Sweet Tea. That's the only innocent party was Sweet Tea. She was the only innocent one because then after the altercation, when Sweet Tea and Dr. G came back home, she was trying to talk to him sensibly about it, and he morphed into her and started acting like a Gemini. Even though he's a Taurus, he morphed into Gemini. He turned into the Gemini and started, and she's a Gemini too, and started verbally abusing her, all because she said it wouldn't have been no bloodbath between you and King. I wouldn't have let that happen. Because she was saying to him, well, I'm combat trained, Gregory. I was in the military, so I could take on a man physically if I had to. And that's true. He said, you're still a woman. True, she's still a woman, but she has training. That's all she was trying to say. But he felt like that was an attack on his manhood. That was a Gemini. He turned into a Gemini. What is Dr. Gregory for real? What type of entity is that? He turned into a Gemini and started telling her, you're naive, you're childish, you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't be. I mean, he just went ballistic. And I normally don't see that in Taurus men. I normally see that in Gemini men. Or Leos. So maybe he morphed into a Leo, but it was more Gemini to me. So there were no innocent parties in that except Sweet Tea. Because Sweet Tea she just came into this group. She's like the sacrificial lamb, like the sacrificial virgin. She doesn't know all of the dynamics. There are things that Dr. G ain't telling her, and there are things that Quad ain't telling her. Because let's be real. Quad is a stunning woman. She's sexy, she has sex appeal. You would not even think that she's in her 40s. She looks like she's in her early 30s. Let's be real. Quad is a stunning woman. She always has been. Dr. G is a mediocre looking man, probably with penis envy issues, not being disrespectful, but just calling it as it is. And when you are a man with those types of issues, there are a lot of self-inflicted hate that you throw at yourself or put on yourself or mount onto yourself. A lot of insecurities that really had nothing to do with Quad. But let's be honest, we all know Quad got with him because she knew he had a little something. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's the natural order of things. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But I do have an issue when a man does that to a woman. I do. That's just the natural order of things. I'm sorry. We all know why she got with Dr. G. We all know why that marriage failed. And we all know why she never wanted to give him a baby because she did not want to be tied to him. We get it. We understand the spell work. Quad is smart. She's smart. And I have to give her that. I give her that. Even though I think she kind of started that altercation between Dr. G and her boyfriend, ultimately, but she's smart. And I got to give Quad that. She's a smart woman. She's an extremely intelligent woman, and she's made a beautiful life for herself. And she owns her house, allegedly. And she has a fabulous home. And you can't hate on a woman for that. But she is not fully healed from, and maybe some people never can, I don't know. But she is not fully healed from that relationship that she was in or that marriage that she was in with Dr. G. Because you turn around and you get somebody like that guy King, you get that. He's just like Dr. G. He's just like him. What a world, what a world. Anyway, that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say for right now. I was plugging up my phone because I got silent. But that's all I have to say. It's just amazing how people allow themselves to be put under ritual over and over again. And the universe keeps allowing us to relive these lessons to understand what's going on. They put black people up under ritual during the Trayvon Martin thing. They put black people up under ritual during the George Floyd thing. They put black people up under ritual during, all of these things that have been going on for the past 10 to 13 years. And you have to look at the numbers 10, 13. You got to look at the numbers and understand what's really going on out here in this universe. So that's why I said Did the world really end in 1999? Not a physical end, but there was a major spiritual shift. And that's why a lot of these things are happening because they're trying to prevent people from elevating to higher states of consciousness. And you notice whenever they're talking about the end of the world or a spiritual shift, whenever they're talking, even back during the days, let's say the days of Jesus, there was a spiritual shift and an awakening happening then. That's why the Roman Empire was doing everything they possibly could to the citizens of Rome to prevent that. They were crucifying people, they were oppressing people. There have been different spiritual shifts throughout time and history. Even back during those times, even in those biblical times. Noah and the great flood, that was really symbolic of a spiritual shift that was going on. That was a major one, a major one. And that shift really redefined a lot of different things. Because during that shift, that was when a lot of the more advanced civilizations, when people say they went under, what they're really talking about, the more advanced civilizations, they, how can I put it? They elevated to a higher vibration and frequency. That's all they're saying. But see, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that they died in the flood. The Nephilim and the, what do they call them? The Nephilim and the giants and the no, they didn't die. They elevated to a higher state of consciousness, and the people along with them that were alive at that time, they elevated to another state of consciousness. That's what that is what that was all about. That was another major spiritual shift. Same thing with the Epic of Gilgamesh and the flood in that story. Anything dealing with the end of the world, that is code for a spiritual shift. And what happens is you have people in positions who try to stop people from elevating spiritually. And they've been doing that forever. And they will use Hollywood, they will use musicians, they will use the sports industry, they will use the sex working industry, they will use whatever they have to prevent you from elevating to a higher state of spiritual consciousness. That's why I'm not paying no attention to no boycotting. I'm not paying no attention to no fucking segregating or segregation coming back. You're not going to manipulate my mind with that stuff. If it comes back, it just fucking comes back, and I will deal with it accordingly. Like I deal with everything accordingly. And that's what we have to do as spiritual beings. And it doesn't matter what your race is. Because just because you're not black, it doesn't mean these things won't affect you. It may look like things are in your favor, but they're not. Because this is not only about race. Or let me put it this way, it's not so much about race than it is about elitism. Racism and elitism. And the two are oftentimes intertwined. But we're dealing with elitism right now, and they're trying to trick you into thinking it's just about racism. Anyway, because we're the elite ones, and they're trying to trick us and make us think that we're beneath them, but in actuality, they're beneath us. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.